I'll say this. I do kind of have like a tentative template that I like to adhere to, but everyone is different and everyone is changing by the day and by the hour and by the meal. So there is nothing that is set in stone come peak week. But I will also add this. I will not do any extremes in peak week. And there is no reason for me to like be throwing in all these variables that we haven't done the whole time, because you can get into a really sticky situation doing that, you know, with digestion and water retention and cramping and all these other things. And it's like, you know, why would you try to manipulate all this stuff that has never been a part of the prep the whole time? You know, and for me, I'm going to know if my client's ready prior to a week out. So like if my client's not going to be ready, then I might have to be a little more aggressive in my protocol for their peak week. You know, I might have to use a little diuretics. I might have to manipulate sodium or water or whatnot. But 9 times out of 10, I'm going to make sure my clients are ready like 3 to 4 weeks out. And then their peak week is just another week, really. Now, like a day or 2 out, you know, we're going to drop cardio. We're going to drop workouts. We're going to work on recovery and rest. And we're going to try to get some of that water off naturally as much as possible. Typically, I'll have clients start carbing up on like Friday if their show's Saturday. And that means Thursday would be like a no carb day. I really don't like to do no carbs with my clients for weeks on end. I feel like, you know, our body is a machine and it needs all of these nutrients all of the time. I have had to starve people. I've had to over diet and overtrain and over cardio people. And it's not something I like to do, but everyone is different. Everyone's body responds differently. I really like to focus on like vitamin and mineral intake in peak week just to mitigate, you know, dehydration or cramping and things of that nature. So, you know, my carb up plan, everyone loves it because there's sometimes candy involved. There's, you know, sometimes sugar, and there's carbs they haven't had in a long time, or it's a lot more of the carbs that they've had, you know, throughout their prep. They've had it, but it, you know, it dwindles down to nothing. And then all of a sudden they get a lot of it. But honestly, I really try to pride myself in not doing any extremes because it can have a really quick negative backlash. And then you have to learn what are you going to do to kind of troubleshoot that? And it's kind of like, well, I should have just not done it. So for me, I play it safer, and I just really try to make sure that my clients are ready ahead of time.
Well, and you know what, Steph, that's what I find. I find, you know, for someone to absolutely peak for their competition, that means they're going to manipulate their body in such a way where they end up making themselves look, let's say 10, maybe 15% better in this final week. But what I actually see is a lot of people attempt to do this, you know, crazy manipulation that they don't fully understand. They're, you know, a protocol is a protocol and it can be adjusted. As you mentioned, it's not a recipe that works for everyone. You could follow a protocol 1 year, then you could do it the next year and it doesn't work, right? So
Absolutely.
People end up making themselves look 15 to 20% worse before they started this final week. So, you know, I know we've talked about this in the past, Steph, but what diuretics, you know, do you like to use pre-competition? Because, you know, I know there's like in Canada, the popular ones, and I know they're, you know, there are different variations around the world, but, you know, aldactone, Lasix, you know, diazide are pretty much the popular ones here.
Well, first and foremost, I like to use just natural diuretics. Asparagus, water is a natural diuretic. Coffee or espresso is a natural diuretic. Manipulating a little sodium, natural diuretic. If we have to get into something that's like a prescription diuretic, very little diazide can go a long way. Aldactone is super mild, and you kind of have to start it a little further out. If I have to, then we'll do just a little bit, maybe 2-3 days out. I've never had a client take anything stronger than 1 or 1.5 diazide. I typically keep it at about half.
You know, it's absolutely amazing how much you can, you know, dehydrate yourself and how much better you can make yourself look just with natural products. Like you said, you know, a lot of people are abusing diuretics. And I mean, we're seeing it. We're seeing people die and whatnot. They're taking these extreme diuretic protocols and they don't fully understand what it is that they're taking and how it affects their body.
Yeah, I had a friend who has hypokalemia, and she didn't even know she had it, and she took Diazide and she almost died. I mean, she had no idea that she had this, and then she took like a quarter of a Diazide and she almost died. So this was an underlying condition that she was unaware of having. She took the Diazide because it was on her program and she almost died. So again, like you just, even if you're playing it safe, there's still a huge risk involved.
Well, you know what? I actually remember that. So I'm pretty sure that your friend there, she suffered from low potassium levels and she was unaware of that.
Yep.
Now, even
That's what
though,
hypoclemia is.
in Diazide, it's a combination product with triamcinolone, which is potassium sparing, and hydrochlorothiazide, which will flush potassium. Normally, you don't really have to worry about your potassium levels with the combination of the products. But in the state that your body's in at that point, your potassium levels will actually drop ever so slightly. It still will drop a bit. So for her suffering from low potassium naturally, having this condition, and then taking this Diazide, she ended up, in the hospital, did she not?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And then
Yeah. So
actually, she even ended up, because she was diagnosed with hypoclemia, and they put her on like a prescription drug for it, which, raises your potassium levels and keeps them balanced. She thought, well, okay, well, now that my potassium levels are where they're supposed to be, I can still take Diazide and I'll be okay. It happened again. She took a little bit and it pulled too much, and she ended up back in the hospital again for a second time.
So
So,
this
so like
prescription she was taking, that sounds like it would have been like a
I
slow
don't
K, like a
remember the
time
name of
release
it.
potassium chloride.
Yeah, I think she mentioned it in the interview, so it's on my page. It's very informational because again, like it just goes to show that you can play it safe. You can take very little and it can still be too much. You can even try to you know load on vitamins and minerals and all these things, and sometimes like things just don't go your way, and you can't reverse it. I mean, I've had people where you do too much diuretic and you're so flat you can't fill out, and then you try to fill out and you just end up looking watery and soft, but you're still flat. Like there are things that just can't be undone that close to a show.